Okay, great. Well, listen, welcome everyone to another session of our power training. My name is Noble Mike Jamison, and I get a chance to really share with you a component of building in our industry that can have a significant impact to taking your business, taking your investment community, really to the next level. And so I want you to really pay close attention to the impact that it can have just by following a few steps, okay, that I'm going to share with you on today. So a major component in what we do is the utilization of what we refer to as third-party validation. Okay, so if you're taking notes, you want to write down third-party validation. All right, because what happens is that we're on the right side of the quadrant. We're focused on expanding our social entrepreneur networks, right, with people. And in doing so, we're looking to build relationships with prospects, right? Whether you're building those relationships online, whether you're building those relationships offline, the key is you're establishing a relationship. And as you all know, that people do business with who they know, like, and trust. Okay. So even if you meet someone online, you got to establish trust with them, right? You got a broader audience, yes, because now 100 people, 1,000 people, 10,000 people are seeing your content, watching videos, making comments on your posts. But even after there's some form of connection, there has to be engagement and it has to be trust built, right? And so what you're doing, whether it's online or offline, is that you're building trust between you and your prospect. Okay. Now, what needs to happen is that there has to be a process where you create a connection between your prospect and the expert, or which obviously would be your success coach or mentor in this business. Okay. And in order for us to create that bridge of respect between the prospect and the expert, what you have to do is that you have to edify. Okay. You have to edify the expert in order for the respect layer to be built. Okay. And this is one of the nuances that if you miss this, your business could go backwards very, very fast. It could go backwards very, very fast, or it may not expand as fast as you would like it to. Because what you ultimately want to happen is that you would join the community, you would become a product of the product, you would love the results you're getting, and then you start to spread the good news. And as a result of that, the organization starts to move away from you. But what happens when you miss certain little nuances, it could really start to slow things down. And so this is one of the things that can easily be overlooked because a lot of times you just don't know what you don't know. And so this type of content is extremely important in understanding the relationships between this triangle that's created right here. Okay. And so when you utilize the power of third party, all right, when you utilize the power of third party validation, third party documentation, it changes everything. It changes everything because what you want to happen is that as your community starts to grow, you don't want there to be a hesitation for a person who doesn't know about the program to get started because the person who's introducing them to the program is new, right? If that's your first roadblock, you can't expand fast, right? So if I'm new to the program and I'm just getting started and I can't share it with someone else because I'm new, then we can't expand fast. And so what happens is that when you utilize third-party documentation, third-party validation, then what my success has nothing to do with what you can do. You understand? As a person who's taking a look at it. So therefore, we got to eliminate that as a barrier. And the only way to eliminate that as a barrier is two things. The only way to eliminate the new person having the ability to share the program is two things. Number one, the systems and tools that they use, videos, Zooms, presentations. And number two, the third-party validation that they have access to, right? And so that's why I wanted to spend some time talking about it today on how this triangle relationship is so important. So let's recap real quick. You've already established trust with your prospect, or they wouldn't even be a potential person to want to take a closer look at what you do. What we have to do is create a bridge between the prospect and the expert that has respect. There has to be a respect level there, right? And the way that you create that bridge is that you must edify the expert, okay, in order for the triangle to be complete. Okay, in order for the triangle to be complete. And so today's training, I'm going to teach you everything you need to know to immediately be able to do this from this day forward. Okay, after today's training, I'm going to share with you, right, in the next 15 minutes, everything you need to do to successfully be able to do this from today forward. All right. So the first step in this process is, how do you master the three-way call? Okay. This process begins with the affiliate, you, me, edifying the expert. This is the first step. All right. Because obviously you've already established trust, or we would not even be at the doorstep in preparation for a three-way. So we've already got that part established. So we're working on that second line from the prospect to the expert right now, right? And that process starts with the affiliate edifying the expert. This is where it starts, all right? So I want you to write this down. Here's what it does. Number one, this gives credibility to the expert. This edification process that we're talking about instantly gives credibility to the expert. For example, if I were talking about teaching you how to play golf, right? The game of golf. And I said, hey, listen, we're going to have a seminar on golf in about 30 days. And at this seminar, we're going to have one of the best golfers in the world teaching at the seminar. His name is Tiger Woods, right? Think about that. So what happens is that when you edify, which I'm going to talk to you about here in a minute, it instantly gives credibility to the expert. So you can imagine what happens when you don't edify. There's absolutely no credibility for the expert when you don't do this. Okay, so it gives credibility to the expert. Number two, what just happened? Oh, okay, there we go. Number two, it transfers the power from you to the expert. Okay, remember, the way that you expand your community fast is that the new person has to be able to get out of their own way, right? Because if you're waiting for the new person to master trading, or you're waiting for the new person to master networking, if you're waiting for the new person to do those things, then it's going to be a slow process. So you have to be able to transfer the power of this of this triangle, of this dynamic, from you being the affiliate, like myself, to the expert. You got to transfer that power. And that's what this three-way call does. You're going to, number one, give credibility. Number two, you're going to transfer power. Okay. You're going to transfer power. Okay. And then number three, you're going to utilize these 4 personality types in order to make sure we touch everybody's heartstring that we could potentially be talking about. All right. And that will be a whole nother training. But I'm going to show you how utilizing this three-way call process will help you create credibility for your expert, transfer power, and touch the heartstrings of the prospect. Okay. That's what we're doing. And that's why you want to do it. Trust me when I tell you, if you understand and master what I'm talking to you about right now, it will revolutionize your business 100%. Okay, 100%. So here's a quick example, right? And you can actually write this down in your notes. Here's a quick example of a script. It's kind of like a template. Okay, you can modify it a little bit, but I want to give you the template that you can work with. Okay, on how to edify the prospect. So, hi, fill in the blank. Hi, John. I would like to introduce you to Mr. Gaskins. He is a top trader in the company, right? Hi, Mary. I would like to introduce you to Mrs. Menenfield. She is a top right in the company. So you can utilize this basic template no matter how you chop it up, right? Mr. or Mrs. And the prefix is really important here, which I'll talk about here in a minute. All right. So obviously I'm using Mr. This could be Miss or Mrs. or what have you. But you want to make sure that you're utilizing the surname for the expert. This is part of the credibility part. Okay. So it's not, I want to introduce you to Mr. Mike, or I want to introduce you to Mr. Nate, or I want to introduce you to Miss Debbie. No, you want to use the surname. It makes a big difference as you start to establish the credibility, because remember, the prospect doesn't know the expert at all. They have no idea who this person is. And so if you are not using a surname, then it puts them on the same playing field, which is not what you want to do in the very beginning of establishing the connection. You want to be able to put your expert on a pedestal, right? So therefore, when you get ready to transfer power, this prospect can look up to them in this space, right? In this space, in the space that we're talking about, because again, this is the expert that we're referring to. All right. So that's why, hey, I want to introduce you to Mr. Garrett. Hey, I want to introduce you to Miss Menenfield. Or I want to introduce you to Mr. Gaskins. Okay, it's the surname that you want to utilize. And of course, you want to get him or her is a blank in the company. So this established a point of reference. Okay, so he or she is a top leader in the company. He or she is a top trader in the company. He or she is, whatever it may be. You want to establish a point of reference. All right. Now the cool part about it is we're not making income claims or anything like that. It's just a title. All right. And they might not even know what the title means, and that's okay, because we're gonna backfill that here in a minute. But this is really setting up the introduction. So, hey, Mary, hey, John, hey, Mike, I'd like to introduce you to Mr. or Mrs. Right? So you're calling the prospect, this is key, don't miss the nuances, by their first name, and you're calling the expert by their last name. You're calling the prospect by their first name, peer to peer. You're calling the expert by their last name. You're putting them on a pedestal because you're getting ready to transfer power, so you can later, so your expert can use that power to actually help you. Okay. And then you're giving them a frame of reference of what they've established, who they've become in the company or in what we're doing. Okay. And so now, as you get ready to edify, the first thing you're going to do, or one of the first things you're going to do, is you're going to say, hey, he's 100% documented, which means he knows all the facts. So you're saying that this expert has a track record. This is all you're establishing. He has a track record. Hey, she has 100%, she's 100% documented. She knows all the information. She can answer your questions. He can answer your questions. So that's the first thing. Knows all the facts. 100% documented. Number one. This is what the expert is. This is what you're telling the prospect. Hey, John, I'd like to introduce you to Mr. Gaskins. He's a top trader in the company. He's 100% documented and knows all the facts. Boom, number one. Number two, he's positioned himself to make a ton of money. Notice that I didn't say, oh, he's made $300,000. Oh, he made $1 million last week. No. That's not what we're doing, right? You want to get a company shut down? Start making income claims. That's the first thing that the attorney generals look for, because the terminology they use for it is enticement, right? It's illegal in the United States of America to entice people to do something with a monetary result. Okay. All right. So you don't want to entice. Now, if you're sharing your personal documented success, that's different. Okay. But since we're doing an introduction, we keep it simple and we keep it compliant because we're going to be here a long time. So he has positioned himself to make a ton of money. Doesn't say how much, it doesn't say where at, it just says position. Now keep in mind, even though this example I'm using Johnny the market guy, I could be using my sponsor who just introduced me last week, because my sponsor, who just so happened to have introduced me last week, has positioned himself to make a ton of money. Doesn't mean he made it yet, but he has positioned himself to do so. Okay. So this is a nice, clean, compliant way of putting the edification in place. All right. So, hi, John, I'd like to introduce you to Mr. Gaskins. He's a top trader in the company. He's 100% documented, knows all the facts about what's going on and what we're doing, and he's positioned himself to make a ton of money in our business, right? In our community. He's helping a lot of people and having a lot of fun. This is key. He's helping a lot of people and having a lot of fun. And I've highlighted the things that you're emphasizing. And what you want to do when you're kind of adding this edification together, this is a generic form, by the way. All right, I'm going to give you another example in a minute, but he's helping a lot of people and having a lot of fun. All right, how is he helping a lot of people? Well, if you all know his story, in this particular case, Mr. Gaskins does a Zoom every Thursday at 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time, voluntarily, by the way, helping a lot of people. All right, there's no monetary gain by doing that, right? But what if you're a new person, right? Or your sponsor is a weekend, maybe your sponsor is a month in. How are they helping a lot of people? Or they're helping a lot of people just by the simple fact that they have a mission behind their what they're trying to accomplish, right? They want to share this information, so they're helping a lot of people get information, get the idea that this is important to them, right? And of course, they're having a lot of fun. They love what they do. They love people. And so this is the framework. This is the framework for the edification. Very simple. Hi, first name of the prospect. Hi, John. I'd like to introduce you to Mr. Gaskins, last name of the expert. He is a top trade in the company. Give a frame of reference. If you know the person, if the expert is have achieved a level in a comp plan, so they're a platinum executive, a diamond ambassador, platinum ambassador, whatever, you can give that frame of reference. Is fine, okay? Because again, it doesn't have anything to do with money. It's just a title. All right. That's like saying, hey, I want to introduce you to the VP of the bank, or I want to introduce you to the sales manager at the hotel. It's a frame of reference. Okay, you got to give a frame of reference, which goes into the edification process. And then you hit these 4 points, right? He's documented with the company, position himself to make money, is helping a lot of people and having fun. Boom. Those are the 4 things you say when you're edifying the expert. Documented, positioned to make money, helps a lot of people, and has fun. Boom. That's what we're doing. Okay. Now, this is the generic framework. This is the generic framework of how to do it. Now, if you know, because sometimes you're going to be sharing and utilizing different team members for experts, which is why we like for you to introduce yourself at the beginning of our calls. And we like to know your background because, again, people do business with who they know, like, and trust. So if I know that Jules is in entertainment and she loves, to be the life of the party, when I meet someone that matches Jules' energy, that would be a great person to do a 3-way call with. Y'all follow this? Because their energy is going to match, right? And so if I meet a person who's very analytical and they pay attention to detail, then Johnny Gaskin would be a great person to match for the 3-way, because people do business with who they know, like, and trust. So what happens is maybe you don't know the full story of Mr. Gaskins because you just joined the team a month ago. So you may not know that he's a single dad. You may not know that he's got 3 children, but you can use this framework for edification and still transfer power accordingly. And then when you get to know him, you can kind of substitute some of the generic stuff for the details that you really know, and then the edification becomes even more powerful. So when you start talking about documentation, instead of saying, hey, he's got 100% of the documentation and he knows all the facts, and you start to know him, you're like, yo, Johnny Gaston's been trading for 16 years as a self-taught trader, right? You can say that once you know him, but if you don't know him, you can't say it yet because you don't know. But you can use the framework in the very beginning, right? And then if you know him, you'll know that, hey, he's already made 6 figures just by utilizing the trading platform. So instead of saying, hey, he's positioned himself to make a ton of money, when you know him, you know he's a documented 6-figure earner with our community. Okay, so I'm giving you the framework to start off immediately so you don't have a stumbling block But once you know the stories of the leaders, of the people in the community, you can share it in more intimate detail, and the power that you transfer will be that much stronger, if that makes any sense. Okay. So this is the structure. Hi, John. I'd like to introduce you to Mr. Gaskins. He's a top trader in the company. He's 100% documented, knows all the facts, and definitely answers some of your questions. He's positioned himself to make a ton of money. What I love about him is that he loves helping people. He's having a lot of fun. But what I like most, this is how you put a bow in the conversation, by the way. What I like most is that he's down to earth and easy to talk to, right? So yes, you're going to edify the expert. You're going to put him or her on a pedestal, but you want them to be relatable. Nobody wants to talk to somebody who feel like the other person's got their nose up in the air, right? Nobody wants to talk to anybody like that. So when you do the edification, at the end of it, you still got to make them relatable, right? But what I love most about Mr. Gaskins is that he's down to earth and easy to talk to, which you'll see here in a few minutes. You all right? That's how you put a bow on the edification. It's amazing. Okay. And hopefully you guys are catching what I'm saying. This is powerful. This will transition your business, I promise you. Right. So now, what about the prospect? This is important. I want you to really understand this next step, because again, we're completing the triangle. Okay, we're completing the triangle. So we got the edification down. We know how you should edify the expert so you can give credibility, you can transfer power. All right. Now you got the prospect, right? So this is a person that you built a rapport. This is the person that you built trust with. All right. You have them now. You got to bridge them together to complete the triangle. You got to bridge the prospect and the expert together with the three-way call. Now, what you do is that you share what we refer to as form, FORM. You're going to share the form information of the prospect to the expert. You're going to share the form information of the prospect to the expert. Form is an acronym that we use to provide the expert enough information to immediately connect with your prospect and transition them to the next event. That's what we're doing. Okay. Now, the key thing about this form that I want to share with you is that it only takes 10 seconds to do. Listen to me closely. Sharing the form information of your prospect only takes about 10 to 15 seconds to do. Okay. If you do it the right way. Because let me share with you what typically happens as your organization starts to grow, as your community starts to grow, you're going to have 15, 20, 30 prospects that you're going to want to get to an event, that you're going to want to get to a Zoom. And imagine it taking 15 to 20 minutes for each prospect to have a conversation with your expert. You're talking about hours. That's another job. Nobody's here for another job, right? I mean, if it takes you 15 minutes to do a three-way call with your expert per prospect, you're only going to get 4 calls in an hour, right? 4 in an hour if it takes 15 minutes. All right. So you got to have a way to collapse the time that it takes to get this done. So we utilize this form, we utilize this acronym to help you get the information to your expert about your prospect in 10 to 15 seconds. And this is how you do it. Here's what the F is for. The F is for family. Write this down in your notes. The F is for family. Okay. What is this person's family structure? Are they single? Are they married? Or they, recently divorced, right? Do they have kids? Do they not have kids? What is the family structure of the prospect? Okay. Oh, what is their occupation? What do they do? They don't work right now because they're in between jobs. They work as a small business owner. They're a school teacher, a former athlete. They're entertainer. They're in real estate. They in, you know what I mean? What do they do? What is their occupation? Right? You want to know that. Recreation. What do they do for fun? Like, what do they do for fun? What are the types of things they do when they let their hair down, right? What do they like to do for fun when they let their hair down? Okay. And then the M is motivation. What motivates them? Like what may keep them up at night? What are they trying to accomplish? If you can share this form information of your prospect in 10 to 15 seconds, so now your expert knows all of the hot buttons that they need to really drive the conversation. They know if they're single or divorced, kids or no kids. They know what type of work they do. They know what they like to do for fun, and they know what keeps them up at night, what motivates them, right? 10 to 15 seconds. Hey, listen, Mary, I want to introduce you to Mr. Gaskins. Let's assume Mr. Gaskins, for example, is now the prospect in this example. So he's the prospect. Okay. So if I was the affiliate and I want to give the form information for Mr. Gaskins, then he's going to be a single father with 3 kids. He's going to be a former ethical hacker and Wall Street trader. He loves to, spend time with his family in his family business. And what motivates him is being able to, make money and spend time with his kids. 15 seconds. 15 seconds, right? I talked about the family. I talked about what he does for a living. I talked about, what he does when he lets his hair down. Talked about what motivates him. 15 seconds. Okay. And so you want to practice that so that way you can get it down to a science. All right. Because what happens, and I'm just sharing with you from experience, I've had in the past, I would have a team member call me, hey, Mr. Jamison, man, let me tell you about this person I want to get on the phone. Man, and they spend 5 minutes telling me about the person that they want to get on the phone that they're excited about, right? And then they call the person to get them on the phone, and then there's no answer. And so now I got 5 minutes of information of this prospect that we're not even talking to, right? Don't do that. Don't do that. I did it before in the past. Don't do that. So you already know, hey, listen, Mr. Garrett, for the next 30 minutes, I'm going to be doing some follow-up calls with some people that I've built some relationships with. Are you available for 3-ways? Mr. Garrett says, yes, I'm available for 3-ways. And then I start making my calls. And then as soon as I get my prospect on the phone, I already know Mr. Garrett is available because I've called him in advance to check if he's available for the next 30 minutes to do 3-ways. So now I can start making my dials. So if I don't get somebody, I don't got to tell Mr. Garrett that I didn't get him and fill his head up with information that he now has to forget. No, I just keep making my calls until I reach my prospect, one of my prospects. You all know when you start to make your dials and follow-ups, you're not going to get everybody at a certain time. Some people are at work during the day, some people are not. So what you do is that you prep your expert. Hey, for the next 30 minutes to an hour, I'm going to be doing some follow-up calls with people that I've built rapport with. Are you available? Yes. And oh, by the way, you want to do that with at least 2 experts because they could be on another call doing another 3-way and you call in, right? So make sure when you get ready to do your follow-ups that you have at least 2 experts available, right, for that time frame, which is why building relationships in the network is important. We call it networking within the network. You should know these other team members. And again, you don't have to be a top leader, right? You could be a platinum executive. It doesn't matter. You just got to, know your stuff, right? Know what we're doing here. All right. So now what we're doing is that you prep Mr. Garrett that you're going to do some 3-way calls for the next 30 minutes to an hour. Now you're going through your list of people you built rapport with on and offline. And then when you connect with someone, you go through your edification process. And you do that before you bridge the call. So as soon as you reach Mary on the line, you go ahead and edify the expert that you got on standby, right? Utilizing what we talked about so you can transfer power, right? Knows 100% of the information, position himself to make a lot of money, loves to help people, and is having a lot of fun. Let me see if I can get him on the line. Boom, you do the 3-way. Mr. Garrett, I haven't bridged him in yet, but I have John on the other line. John is, and then you give Mr. Garrett the form. hey, John is married. He's got a newborn baby that he's excited about. He works in real estate. I know that he loves to. I met him at at LA Fitness playing basketball every Sunday, and I know that he's motivated to spend more time with his newborn baby. I'm gonna bridge him in. Boom, and then you shut up, right? Those are your last words, because the moment that you bridge that call, you have now transferred the power to the expert for him or her to do what they do best. They got everything they need to drive the conversation. They have everything they need to drive the conversation. And the moment you interrupt them, you just burst the balloon. You totally de-edify this whole process. So you don't say another word on this phone call until the expert turns it back over to you to close it out, right? So imagine you at the seminar with Tiger Woods and you've introduced him as one of the best golfers in the world, and he's going to teach you and the people that you invited to the seminar how to, putt, how to make a 30-foot putt on the green. And in his process of explaining how to hold the golf club and how to stand and how to put your hands, you interrupt him and say, oh, Tiger, can you tell him about this? Oh, Tiger, can you imagine the disrespect there? You would never do that. You would never do that. And so don't do it here neither. So as soon as you create the credibility and transfer power, your job is done. You don't say another word as the affiliate. As the affiliate, even if the expert leaves something out that you thought they should have said, you still let it go, because you may not know what their intentions were on not saying something. You follow that normally that might have been said in the conversation. All right. So these are some key things. I promise you, if you get this right, it will change your business. If you get this right, it will change your business. And so let's recap it real quick. You're spending your hard-earned time developing relationships with people on and offline that you can know, like, and trust. What you have to do is that you got to set the stage to bridge the respect level between your prospect and your expert. The way that you create that bridge is through proper edification. And this creates the love triangle in the whole dynamics of what we're doing. And so in order for your community, in order for your organization to ultimately move away from you, you have to get out the way. You have to get out the way. Okay. And using third-party validation, third-party documentation will help you do that every single time. Every single time, because you don't have to be a six-figure earner to properly edify, right? To get out the way, you can be brand new, learn the edification process and third-party tools, and get out the way. I mean, this is amazing. Okay. And so what I want to do real quick is really share a couple of things that I think are important to add to this concept.